Hey, it's a Humble Collector here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about an experimental light machine gun that they began developing right after World War II in the Philippines called the Model 45A. Now, this gun's fairly obscure, not a lot's known about it. The only thing that anybody online seems to really know is that it looks like it was probably made by a couple soldiers, not an official military project, that the pictures that we have of it are probably of a mock dummy, and that as far as we know, there's never a working mechanical version ever made. I recently acquired a set of documents that seems to contest a lot of that. So let me first start off by showing off some of these photos. This is what first actually led people to know that the Model 45A was a thing. Somebody was searching through an archive and found a bunch of photos like these. And these look like press photos, and they're actually talked about in the letter that came with these, came with the documents I got. So as you can see, it's an odd gun. It is a bullpup in 1945. It takes BAR clips, magazines, whatever you want to call them. That handle on top has an integrated scope inside of it. So light machine gun, bullpup, integrated scope in 1945. That's pretty advanced for the period, really. I can't think of any other guns like that within, a couple decades of it. Now, what's interesting about the gun in the photos is most people seem to be under the impression that this gun is a fake mock-up. There's nothing mechanical about it. It's made out of wood, steel. This is just like a proof of concept kind of thing. However, I have this letter from a Lieutenant Bob Millick, who was actually the developer of this firearm. And it's a 7-page letter, or 6-page letter. It's cursive, however it's cursive English, so I was able to actually read that. And I've translated the letter and put it onto these here. So I'm going to read off real quick just the parts of this letter that actually have to deal with the gun. The letter itself is pretty interesting. I'm going to post pictures of this transcribed version and then the original letters itself, so if you want to read it at the end, you're more than welcome to. So I'll just start off with the second paragraph here, which is where he really starts talking about the gun. A great deal has developed here since I left the 29th. Of course, I've been working steadily on the LMG, and it has changed quite radically since you last saw it. Until I had been here about a month, I had to work solely after hours on the job, and it really was a rough deal. The officer in charge of the tech office never has been very cooperative about the job, and wouldn't even see that transportation was furnished me. Every night at 4:30, I'd rush out to the area to eat, then tear back to the motor pool for transportation, and then work until 11 at night, which almost got me down. So in that first paragraph, we know that this guy is actually working on the LMG, and it seems to be some kind of side project, not officially sanctioned by his unit, and he's working on it after hours. In the second paragraph, he continues that after the first week of September, the job began to show possibilities, and the major, just promoted from captain, agreed to take the job up as a section project. Since that time, I've been working on the gun as my only duty. There was method in the major's madness, though, because he began saying that the job was being designed by the section, and he never once even offered to help. If it wasn't so dependent on him right now, I'd request a transfer. So in the second paragraph, we're told that the job began to show possibilities. So this firearm's obviously getting into working order at this point, and that it has officially become a project of their section, and that his higher-up officer is taking credit for it. The pictures that I have enclosed, which are these ones here, are signal corps shots of the first model, which I've called the Model 45A. From mistakes made in the first job, I've now drawn up some modifications which will greatly improve the weapon, I hope. The weapon I'm now working on will be known as the Model 45B. It has an entirely new charging system and a fully stamped receiver buttstock shell. You might remember that originally the weapon had a wooden buttstock that fitted into the stamped receiver shell. I had to make a fully stamped receiver buttstock shell to accommodate the modified charging system. Another big change has been made in the firing system, and it is now much simpler. So you can probably see in these photos here, and it's a lot more clear on the technical documents that I have. I'm going to show it a little bit. That's a wooden stock. And what he's basically saying is they had to make a stamped steel integrated stock for it to actually function with the modifications that would make it the Model 45B, which as far as I know has never been mentioned in any other source about the Model 45A, so this letter is probably the only place it was mentioned. And given the fact that the Model 45A is so obscure, I doubt the Model 45B ever even made it to the point where they were taking pictures of it. Something happened and they canned the project at some point. The only other references in the letter is that he'd been working on it for over 3 months at that point, and that he hoped that if the gun was working around the first of the year and it successfully went through its trials, that he'd be able to bring it back to the States with him and continue working on it, which, as far as we know, did not happen. Now, so that answers some questions. So we know it started off kind of as a private project, became a section project. Signal Corps took some photos of it, which were enclosed with this letter here. But here's probably the best part, besides the letter of the whole thing, is documents from Aberdeen Proving Grounds, where I'm assuming this gun was tested at some point, with mechanical layouts of the entire gun. So, as you can see, that is the Model 45A. That is the right side view of this assembled experimental light machine gun. It's really, really a very interesting looking gun. I'm very surprised that they came up with this that early. I mean, it's really cool. So that's the right side view. We have a left side view here with a .30 caliber bullet as a scale reference point. The next photo here is disassembly of the gun into its 3 main sections: the frame group, the receiver buttstock group, and the barrel group. And now here's the actual mechanical parts. This is disassembly of the frame group. So yeah, like I said, nobody online seemed to think that there's actually a mechanical version of this gun. This was just a mock-up. Well, this seems to prove that there was a mechanical version that was at least could work in theory. Unfortunately, none of these seem to say whether or not it was actually fired, though I'm assuming that at this point, if he's working on improvements to it, it had to have been fired at some point. Now, this is the close-up of the receiver block and receiver shell. And then this is a disassembly of the receiver buttstock group. So yeah, these came out of the collection of an officer who served at Aberdeen during the war. This was amongst the personal documents that he'd sold off to the guy that I got them from. He was listing a whole bunch of them for like Mausers. I think he had one for the MP43, which was pretty cool. But this one was really interested me because I'd never seen this gun before, never heard of this gun before. So I thought it was fascinating and I had to get it. And I hope that sheds some light kind of on this mystery of the Model 45A. So yeah, hopefully this brings us a step closer to figuring out the full story. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. For those of you who are subscribed and watched the last video, this kind of marks my 1-year anniversary on YouTube. So the channel's been up for about a year. And yeah, it's been pretty good so far. Have about 3,400 views and 35 subscribers right now. So I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, hopefully we'll have another good year here at the channel. Well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you know anything else about the Model 45A, anything you want to throw in there, just let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.